The mountain loomed, a jagged silhouette against the bruised sky, a brooding giant shrouded in mist and legend. It promised adventure. It whispered of dread. Few dared to answer its call. Fewer returned. The old folks in the valley below spoke of it in hushed tones. A place of power, they said, where ancient spirits slept, where the veil between worlds thinned. Their stories sent shivers down your spine. They warned you to stay away. The wind moaned through the pines, a low, mournful sound like a lost soul searching for peace, or perhaps seeking company. The air grew colder as we climbed, thinner too, each breath a struggle. The trail was treacherous, steep and winding, strewn with loose shale. Each step forward felt like a gamble. One wrong move, and you could tumble down the mountainside. The silence was broken only by the crunch of our boots on the rocky path. A tense, watchful silence. The sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and purple, as if the heavens themselves were ablaze. It should have been beautiful, a sight to behold. But the beauty felt menacing here, like a warning, like the last gasp of something dying. A final breath before the darkness took over. We pressed on, driven by a strange compulsion, an unspoken urge that kept us moving forward. The trail had vanished, swallowed by the encroaching wilderness. We were lost, with no clear path ahead. Panic gnawed at the edges of my mind, a creeping dread that threatened to overwhelm me. We had been following the map every step of the way, trusting it to guide us through the unknown. We were supposed to be close to the summit, the pinnacle of our journey, but it seemed further away than ever. Where had we gone wrong? The path that once seemed so clear was now a maze of uncertainty. As night fell, we decided to set up camp, hoping that the morning light would bring clarity. The fire provided little comfort, its flickering flames casting eerie shadows that danced around us. We shared stories to keep our spirits high, but the unease lingered, a silent companion in the night. Under the vast expanse of the starry sky, we felt small, insignificant, and utterly alone. Sleep eluded us, our minds racing with thoughts of the unknown trail ahead. As dawn broke, the first light of day illuminated the landscape, revealing the path we had missed. With renewed determination, we packed up our camp and prepared to continue our journey, hoping to find our way. The darkness deepened, swallowing the last vestiges of light. Stars pricked the sky above. Cold and indifferent, the temperature plummeted. Our breath formed clouds in the freezing air. We huddled together for warmth, fear a tangible presence now. Then we saw it, a flicker of light. In the distance, hope surged. A campfire, salvation. We stumbled towards it, our hearts pounding, but as we drew closer, the light remained elusive, always just out of reach. The cabin, a place shrouded in mystery and whispers, hidden deep within the forest. We stumbled through the darkness for what felt like hours. The forest seemed endless, each step heavier than the last, the trees closing in around us, our hope dwindling with each passing moment. Faces once filled with determination now showed only fear and exhaustion. The silence of the forest was broken only by our labored breaths and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. Then, just as we were about to give in to despair, we saw it. A faint glimmer in the distance, a promise of salvation in the overwhelming darkness. A small wooden cabin, perched precariously on the edge of a cliff. It looked ancient, as if it had stood there for centuries, weathering countless storms and secrets. A beacon of light in the overwhelming darkness. The warm glow from its windows was a stark contrast to the cold, unwelcoming forest that surrounded us. Smoke curled from its chimney, promising warmth, shelter, sanctuary. It was as if the cabin itself was calling out to us, offering a refuge from the night. We approached cautiously, our footsteps echoing in the stillness. Each step was filled with both hope and trepidation, unsure of what awaited us inside. The door creaked open at our touch, as if inviting us inside. The air was thick with anticipation, And as we crossed the threshold, we couldn't help but wonder if we'd found safety or stepped into another mystery. Whispers in the wind. The interior of the cabin was small, sparsely furnished, but surprisingly warm. A fire crackled merrily in the hearth, casting flickering shadows on the rough-hewn walls. We sank down onto the dusty floor, exhausted, relieved. The silence was broken by a whisper, faint, indistinct. We froze, listening intently. There it was again, a whisper on the wind coming from the shadows in the corner of the room. Descent into madness. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to be coming from everywhere at once. We spun around trying to locate the source, but there was nothing there. Just the empty cabin and the shadows dancing on the walls. We were losing our minds. The isolation, the darkness, the whispers. It was all too much. We had to get out of here now. But when we tried to stand, we found we couldn't move. Something was holding us fast. The face in the ice. It was a name whispered among the locals, a legend that sent chills down the spine of anyone who dared to listen. The mountain, they said, was cursed, and those who ventured too far would never return. Our eyes were drawn to the window, a small frosted pane that seemed to hold secrets of its own, to the reflection staring back at us. It wasn't our own. It was a face that seemed to emerge from the very depths of the ice, a visage that was both haunting and mesmerizing. It was a face, pale, gaunt, with features that seemed almost otherworldly. The skin was stretched tight over the bones, giving it a skeletal appearance, with eyes that burned with an unnatural light. They seemed to pierce through the darkness, holding us in a trance-like state, and a smile that sent shivers down our spines. It was a smile that spoke of ancient secrets and untold horrors. It was then that we realized our mistake. We had been drawn to this place, lured by the promise of shelter and safety. We hadn't stumbled upon a refuge. No, this was no sanctuary. We had walked into a trap. The cabin, with its eerie silence and oppressive atmosphere, was a snare set by the mountain itself. The mountain had claimed us, just as it had claimed countless others before us. It was a place of no return, a realm where the living and the dead coexisted in a macabre dance, just like it had claimed countless others before us. The walls of the cabin seemed to whisper their names, a litany of lost souls who had ventured too far. And as the icy grip of fear tightened around our hearts, we felt the weight of their despair. Their stories were etched into the very fabric of the mountain, a testament to its insatiable hunger. We knew there would be no escape. The mountain's grip was unyielding, its power absolute. We were mere pawns in its game, destined to join the ranks of the lost. We were going to die here on this haunted mountain. Our fate was sealed, our destiny intertwined with the cursed land, and our souls would be trapped here forever. The mountain would keep us, just as it had kept so many before. We were now part of its legend, a new chapter in its dark history.